A poor man found a lost bag while wandering the streets for food. He was startled when he saw its contents and immediately looked for its owner to return it, unaware of how his life would change after. They say luck favors the poor and the compassionate, and sometimes you may not know how far your fate will change when luck favors you unexpectedly. It happens to be so true in a poor 40-year-old man's case. Peter was wandering about on the street on a hot afternoon when something under a wooden bench caught his attention. Curious, he approached it and found an abandoned bag. He looked around before picking it up, only to be startled after unzipping it and peeping inside. After a catastrophic hurricane hit his town 5 years ago, Peter lost everything he had. The flash flood washed away his little house, destroying more than just his livelihood. Since then, Peter took refuge in an old abandoned trailer and ate leftovers from a local pizzeria. One day, he was walking to the eatery to get some leftovers and noticed a lost bag under a bench. He anxiously picked it up and was stunned to see wads of life-changing money inside. The man didn't count how much was in there, but he was certain he could afford a nice little house with it. I could save some for food. Houses are quite cheap here, he thought. Peter's heart began to pound faster as he dreamed of what he could do with the money that wasn't his. He checked the bag further to see whose it was and felt something like a card inside. A photo? He exclaimed after pulling out a photograph of a little boy. I've seen him somewhere, but where? Peter sat on the bench trying to recall where he'd seen the child. I've seen him, but I can't remember when and where, he thought again. Peter took the bag to his trailer because he worried he'd be framed for theft. Should I hand it to the police, he thought? Why do I get this weird feeling I've seen this kid somewhere? After moments of deep thought, the man finally recalled seeing the boy with an old lady at a park near the shopping mall. Got it, I've seen him a couple times in the park with a lady, he exclaimed. Without wasting time, he took the bag and hurried to the park to see if the boy was there. He tried to stay calm to avoid attracting suspicion in public. It was getting dark and the people in the park were starting to leave. Peter was determined to find the older woman and waited. Moments later, he saw a faint figure of a woman with a kid entering the main gate. It's her, Peter exclaimed after rechecking the photo, and that's the kid. He approached him and after seeing him, the woman named Barbara turned away, thinking he was coming for arms. Hey there, I wanna… Peter stammered, but Barbara pretended not to hear him and motioned to walk away with a little boy. Hey, can you please wait? Excuse me, lady, does this belong to you? Peter asked, extending the bag to her. Barbara was shocked. My bag? How did you get this? She shrieked, immediately unzipping it to check if her money was safe. Peter calmly watched, knowing any person in her shoes would have doubted if the money was still intact. Oh dear, thank you so much. I thought I just lost this. I'd just withdrawn this from the bank for Tom's treatment, cried Barbara. Tom was Barbara's 7-year-old grandson who had lost his parents a year ago in a car crash. He survived the unfortunate accident but was soon diagnosed with a heart condition that needed immediate surgery. For the past year, his grandma taught cooking, sewing, and embroidery to save enough money to afford his operation. She managed to save $35,000 and had withdrawn the money for Tom's operation the following week. I'm so sorry to hear this, but I will pray for your grandson, Peter comforted Barbara. I found your bag under a bench near the shopping mall. Oh my, I can't thank you enough for returning it, Barbara said in tears. I was so worried my grandson would never get his surgery. Tom had the surgery the following week and returned home a few days later. Barbara was delighted and was more than pleased to see Peter, who had come to visit her grandson to check on his well-being. Touched by the stranger's honesty and compassion, Grandma invited him for dinner that day. Peter obliged and happily returned for a warm meal later that evening, unaware of how his future would change. I lost my house in the flood. I found an old trailer on the outskirts of town and made it my home, Peter shared during dinner. After hearing the kind man's story, Barbara decided to help him. Though she didn't have money, she was determined to return Peter's favor and promised to see him soon. Around 2 months later, Peter heard a knock on his trailer. Barbara? He exclaimed. She was with a few other strangers. Son, I know it's never too late to say thank you, so we came by to give you a little gift. Barbara extended a set of keys to Peter. They drove him to a nearby area and showed him the doorway to his new house. As it turned out, Barbara had told her neighbors about Peter's kindness and honesty. Touched by his story, they started a GoFundMe page for him and collected $65,000, with which they bought him a lovely little house close by. Peter was moved to tears, speechless. His life had changed overnight and he still couldn't believe his eyes. Son, I started a new bakery and I'd like some help, said Barbara. She proposed for Peter to work there as a delivery man. I'd be honored, Barbara, thank you so much, he replied, readily accepting the offer. Peter's luck shined on him that day. Not only did he have a cozy new house and a job, but he also found motherly love from Barbara.